Welcome to another history video. This time, it's hammer launching in Halo 3. Originally known as box launching, this video will cover the origins of the trick, the application of the trick, and the progression of the trick throughout the speedrun. Also explaining why the trick went from being known originally as box launching, but later becoming hammer launching. Launching with boxes is a very early known trick in the Halo series. Dating back to Halo 2, trickers would often use a variety of launches assisted by boxes. These will be known as the box launch, which will be demonstrated by a series of videos. Trickers would go on to perform similar tricks in Halo 3, reaching locations that are not typically achievable under normal gameplay circumstances. A lot of these locations required a combination of the gravity hammer and a box. The gravity hammer being a new weapon in Halo 3, inspired by the Tartarus hammer. As you can see, one player would stand on the box, and the other would use the gravity hammer to hit the box. This would mean the player would carry that momentum into a launch away from the box. This strategy required 2 players. Also to note, a lot of early box launches are achieved with cowbell, a skull which magnifies the effects of impacts of movable objects, essentially meaning you can fly a lot further. Halo 3 speedruns typically don't allow usage of skulls, so you'll notice the speedrun box launches are significantly less powerful. On March 28, 2009, xlax007 uploaded a series of videos featuring launches across every level in the campaign. 2 of these videos, Storm and Floodgate, introduced a new method of box launching as known previously, this time only requiring a single player. The Floodgate video almost speaks for itself given a speedrun scenario. Rawson, a well-known tricker at the time, is the first person to cross the bridge of the tricking and speedrunning communities. He is first up the Floodgate, bringing a handful of new tricks for the community. Rawson's first Floodgate run with box launches features 3 launches straight off the bat. Most impressively is the Chasm launch, without any assistance in the form of cowbell or trip mine to clear the distance. He goes on to hit Chasm launch with blind skill active later that same day. Boar comes incredibly close with this box. Before we even knew it possible to launch from a box like this particular launch goes undiscovered until 2012. I wanted to include this clip because it was such a close call. Rawson revisits Floodgate, adding 2 new launches, one which we would later substitute with the weapon crate launch. Here we have History 100, instantly adding 2 new launches to his first speedrun in 2012. First up is the weapon crate launch, followed by Tripmine Chasm launch. History 100 would go on to redefine what we knew of the trick at the time, changing the game forever, introducing the community to some of the best tricks in Halo 3. His weapon crate launch being the first usage of a box launch from a different style box than we previously knew was possible at the time. As noted on this high-speed Halo news post, he is first to hit a box launch of something that isn't a box, thus causing the community to rename the trick hammer launching.
You will be the protectors of Earth and all her colonies.
Roots, in the op center. They disarmed the bomb.
He is also the first person to hit hammer launches on other levels in Floodgate. He goes on to find 2 versions of the Erector Room launch from Cortana, one being the one that Bourne narrowly missed a few years earlier. Boar is the first to discover the drone tunnel great launch, uploaded in a video by Slinky. Though the history of the Citadel launch is a bit shaky. Between lost footage of History 100 and Sliding Ghost, it is unsure whether they attempted this prior to the Slinky video. This video being the earliest footage currently still public. Slinky then goes on to hit the bridge room launch in the same video. History hits an intense launch in the Citadel, a launch no longer used. He manages to hit this mid-legendary IL and set the world record. He also hits a nice return launch, then goes to hit another, but the box isn't angled correctly. In early segmented planning, Hipfire releases a Crow's Nest video with the bomb room launch. This is another launch with an unsure history. Rawson claims the trick is far older, but with no footage to back it up, this is the first clip we have. Here is another small weapon crate launch by Monopoly he found when segmenting Floodgate. This is an example of Rawson hitting the prior launch in a run. He then goes on to do a new small launch to get out to the chasm launch quicker.
I'm on my way.
Slinky discovers a faster way to exit both towers on the Covenant.
Sergeant Major! Johnson, can you hear me? Keep a safe distance. Stay away from the flood.
The arc is out of range of all the active installations. Priority, we must contain this outbreak before...
First, we stop the troop.
Rawson hits the final box launch on the Citadel return, the one History previously wasn't able to hit because the box was at a bad angle. This is an advancement to the Slinky Tower exit. This is early footage I made on my YouTube channel when comparing my Covenant segmented to Sliding Ghosts. I assume the top left footage is his, which means he was the first to hit this. It also includes a small box launch of the Warthog outside the first tower, which never made it into the run. Rawson is the first to hit the first box Citadel launch in a run, only after attempting the DC launch mid-IL. He goes on to set the world record with this run.
I'm on my way.
I hit the first tower exit launch in an IL, then go on to hit a new version of the Citadel launch discovered by History 100, using a plasma for more power.
Johnson, can you hear me?
Stuffed Crust goes on to further develop the Citadel launch. I accidentally mistyped this in my first history video as being discovered in 2015, when it's 2014. He utilises the box wobbling combined with the power drain exploding for massive power from the launch. Unfortunately, this strategy would only be viable for easy, because legendary runners still required camo at this time. This is a correction to my first history video. Nagato is the first person to hit Pizza Launch, where I previously stated it was Alien Flow. Pizza Launch being jumping off the trip mine mid-chasm launch. Oraxade tilts the box for Citadel launch, unlocking its full potential. This is the final development of the Citadel launch, making it now fully viable on Easy and Legendary. Alien Flow returns to the reactor room with a more consistent and safer box launch, with a similar result to the previous box launch by History 100. Alien Flow changes the corridor launch for Floodgate with a much easier setup. Hokum King is first to do a third tower exit in an IL.
Installations. Priority, we must contain this outbreak before.
First,
This is another launch with unsure history. This is the earliest existing footage, but Danzig recalls it being hit many years prior by either Sliding Ghost or Chapified. In early segmenting for Sierra 117, Danza attempts to launch to the Pelican from the bridge as soon as it enters. Unfortunately, this strategy wasn't viable, as seen in the second clip.
Sam, stand by. All loud, everyone down. Scratch one phantom.
The Sierra barrel launch is another launch with an unsure history. The earliest footage exists from 2017, but revisiting old Skype content from 2013 shows conversation between Slinking Sliding Ghost on the barrel launch. Rawson also claims he hit it many years before this. The barrel launch was first used in a run in Danza's segmented Sierra. I wanted to also include a couple of hammer launches that aren't in the run, but are good ideas. These are done by Sleepless Blue.
come in, over.
We must contain this outbreak before.
First, we stop the truth. Then we deal with the flood.
I must see what we can assess the damage to the ark.
The shipmaster's carrier.
This launch was featured in Halo 3 Unsegmented, a project you all need to watch. This is Sleepless Blue documenting other objects it is possible to hammer launch from. I wanted to include this clip purely for documentation.
Roots. In the op center. They disarm.
Gun, we're out of time. Me.
Finally, this is the most recent hammer launch added to the speedrun, performed by the second place champion, Sasquatch. So I wanted to add a couple bonus clips here. These are mostly just corrections on previous videos. In my first history video, I wasn't able to find the very first Sierra gap jump. I still don't think this is it, but it's an earlier example of the one featured in the video. I don't know who this guy is, but I'll play the full clip for you. This is about a year before Ball hits the gap jump in his IL. From now on, I want everyone to refer to this as the Mega Grenade Jump of Doom. My second correction is this DC launch I previously credited to Danza. Oraxiad hits this when segmented arc about 2 years earlier. Third minor correction is the Shadow of Intent DC launch. Credit still belongs mostly to Sliding Ghost, but first footage belongs to Mr. Zanzibar a few months before Monopoly, although this launch is before the cutscene. And the final correction is to Nagato, who hit this Cortana moment skip first, which was previously credited to Danza.
The father's sins pass to his son.
And with that, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the history of the Halo 3 trick, hammer launching.